Hi everyone, welcome back to Lab for Crypto. Today we're going to speak about the heart of every blockchain project, the so-called on-chain data. In the dynamic world of crypto, understanding on-chain metrics is crucial as it can give unique insights into the health of the crypto asset of your interest. We will be unlocking the secrets behind three key metrics that serve as a vital part of each blockchain: the active addresses, the new addresses, and lastly, the total addresses. These on-chain data are publicly available, and if you contribute to the network through mining or staking, you will be able to have the entire historical information of each transaction that occurred in the blockchain of your interest and be able to explore this data. In our platform, you do not need to contribute to the networks to see this data, but you will be able to explore them through the address statistics section in the platform. Now let's deep dive into each metric one by one and explain them. First, let's explain the active addresses. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use Bitcoin as an example, but of course in our platform you will be able to find more assets to explore. Let me hide the SMA and just leave the active addresses, which is the raw information from the blockchain. On the x-axis in the graph in front of you, you are seeing the daytime, and on the y-axis on the left side, you are seeing the price of the asset in USA dollars. And on the y-axis on the right side, you are seeing the number of active addresses. When you mouse over on the graph, you will see that the blue color represents the price and the red color represents the active addresses. But before we observe the graph in front of us and make some assumptions, first let's define what the active addresses definition is. If we go to the platform, to the description part, we will see that active addresses is the number of unique addresses that have been involved in successful transactions as either senders or receivers. And in short, what that means, I will show you with a quick slide that I have prepared. Imagine a scenario which Theo is going to send some Bitcoin to Alice and Bob at the same day. When the first transaction is completed successfully and Alice was able to receive Theo's 1 Bitcoin, the number of unique active addresses that is going to be added into the Bitcoin blockchain is 2, because we count the sender and the receiver. However, when the second transaction is completed successfully and Bob was able to receive Theo's 1 Bitcoin, the number of unique addresses that is going to be added into the Bitcoin blockchain is only 1, because we are only going to count Bob as a unique active address. And as you might already suspected, the reason behind this discrimination is that we do not want to double count Theo as a unique active address. That's why it has the term unique in front of the active addresses. Now that we have a clear understanding of what unique active addresses stands for, let's go to the platform and see what we can get from the graph that is in front of us. Let's analyze the active addresses for Bitcoin in the preset time window that we have in the platform, but of course you can choose any time frame you like. Analyzing the Bitcoin ecosystem from November 2015 to November 2023 reveals a compelling relationship between the number of active addresses and the price of Bitcoin. When active addresses number surge, so does the price, and conversely, a drop in active addresses corresponds to a drop in Bitcoin's price. This trend becomes even more evident when we apply a simple moving average, such as the 14 days, which help us smooth out the raw blockchain data making the overall trend more apparent. A similar pattern emerges when examining the influx of unique new addresses into the Bitcoin blockchain. And let's have a look. Utilizing the SMA once again proves valuable in mitigating the daily fluctuations of new addresses. It's crucial to note that monitoring both active and new addresses serves as an important metric to assess the organic growth of any blockchain. For example, a sharp increase in a crypto asset's price, coupled with a lack of corresponding growth in active and new addresses, may indicate potential price manipulation or a temporary supply shock. This could suggest that the asset's price surge is unsustainable, possibly signaling a local cycle top and the exhaustion of the current bullish run. Therefore, monitoring this on-chain data is crucial. And for people that they want to get a deeper understanding on the correlation between price and addresses, we have a section in the platform which they can explore. Before I move to the last on-chain metric that we will discuss today, I want to emphasize that always the on-chain metrics must be analyzed in conjunction with the off-chain data, as sometimes, especially in smaller projects, this data can be manipulated. For example, the foundation of a crypto project can intentionally create multiple addresses and send small amounts of their coin or token to multiple wallets and show artificially that they have a surge in new and active addresses. As a result, many users can fall into the trap and without doing their research, FOMO into a project. So always check multiple on-chain and off-chain metrics alongside with the fundamentals of a project and then decide if you are going to allocate any amount from your portfolio to that project. Now let's move to the last on-chain metric that we are going to discuss today, which is the number of total addresses. The definition of total addresses is the sum of unique addresses that appeared at least once in a successful transaction. That includes both active and inactive addresses. So to get a better understanding of the importance of monitoring this metric, I have prepared an interactive example. And let's go and have a look. The reason behind this example is to help us visualize the supply and demand dynamics for Bitcoin. Because in general, every asset price is defined by the supply and demand dynamics. A very simple term, but crucial to understand. The maximum number of Bitcoin that is going to be available ever is close to 21 million. And the reason that I'm saying close to is because that number is not written either in the Bitcoin white paper or in the Bitcoin code. And many people, they take that number as a given, but actually is not defined anywhere in the code or the white paper. And we calculated that this number should be 21 million based on the halvings of Bitcoin. The newly created Bitcoin is only injected into the market from miners. And based on the cut that miners take each 4 years, and if you do the extrapolation, you will see that the last Bitcoin, let's say whatever fraction of Bitcoin, is expected to be mined close to 2140. And if you add all these numbers of Bitcoin that it was mined through the history of Bitcoin, it's going to be 21 million, close to that number. So if we assume that the maximum number is 21 million, let's go to the graph and see what that can do to the supply and demand dynamics of Bitcoin and what it can do to its price. The x-axis of the graph in front of us is showing the date. On the y-axis on the left side is the Bitcoin remaining supply. And on the y-axis on the right side, we have the Bitcoin total addresses. When you mouse over on the plot, you will see that the remaining Bitcoin supply is represented by the blue color, and the red color represents Bitcoin total addresses. If we assume that the maximum number of Bitcoin is 21 million, if we mouse over to the early days of Bitcoin in January 2009, we can see that the maximum available Bitcoin is 21 million, and that's correct. The number of total addresses is 1 because probably that address belongs to the creator of the Bitcoin blockchain. The observation that one can make immediately by just observing the blue line is that the Bitcoin remaining supply is decreasing exponentially. And if we check some numbers from 21 million that it was in January 2009, it dropped to 4.87 million in January 2017. And currently in November 2023 is at 1.44 million. So, as we have said before, this number is programmed to go to zero close to 2140. And therefore, Bitcoin definitely is a scarce asset. But scarcity only matters if the demand side of Bitcoin is also increasing, because from the supply and demand dynamics, you should expect a price appreciation of an asset if the supply is going down, but also the demand is increasing. And let's see the demand side. The number of total addresses for Bitcoin can be considered to be the demand side, because someone creates a Bitcoin address if he or she wants to use it. Therefore, this red line can be considered the demand aspect of Bitcoin. And the immediate observation that we can make is that this red line is increasing exponentially. And from 1 that it was in January 2009, it went all the way up to 1.24 billion. It's important to note that this value is not the same as the number of people who use the Bitcoin blockchain, as someone can have multiple addresses. For example, imagine Bob. Bob has one Bitcoin, and because he's afraid that someone will steal his Bitcoin, he created 4 Bitcoin addresses and then deposited 0.2 BTC on each address. Now Bob, using this method, feels more safe. And the message that I want to deliver to you through this simple example is that never in your mind think that the number of total addresses in the Bitcoin ecosystem is the same as the number of actual people that are using the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, after we made this clear, let's go back to the platform and check what the Bitcoin supply and demand dynamic that we saw from this example did to Bitcoin price. From the total addresses graph in the platform, we can see the price with the blue line and Bitcoin total addresses with the red line. As expected, until now, the Bitcoin price has been going up as the supply and demand dynamics allow it. And as the supply side of Bitcoin is programmed and cannot be changed, through the platform, you will be able to monitor the demand side of Bitcoin every day. If Bitcoin total addresses continue to increase and more people join the network, the Bitcoin price will probably continue to go up. If you like the content, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Until next time, bye bye.